Assalamu alaikum. My name is William and I converted to Islam about a year ago. I was born in Dallas, Texas into a Christian family, and I grew up in a neighborhood that was almost completely white, upper class and upper middle class as well. And it was really, really sheltered. My family wasn't exactly as you would call ultra-religious, as what is a stereotype with many people in Texas. We were just your typical moderately religious Christian family. But the only trouble is that I was born with autism. So my social functioning was quite awkward. So I didn't really fit into the society around me. I'm not saying I was a loner or like a complete outcast, but I mean, I had my friends. It's just that I wasn't overly popular. I wasn't overly focused on socializing. I mean, at that time, I was so young, I really cared more about video games than I did religion. I mean, to me, the idea that I'm going to heaven just because I believe in Jesus Christ sounded like a very good idea. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Just play video games my whole life, go to heaven. Got it made. Now, the thing was, though, is that even from a young age, there was facets of Christianity I rejected. I'm like, God is God. He doesn't have to do that. So that was probably my only real criticism at that time. But then again, I really didn't care. I think the only other time I did have some sort of problem within the religion was when they first brought up the subject of the Holy Trinity. I would have been 11 at the time. What they're explaining was that it is 3 parts separate but one. Now to me, that didn't make any sense. I'm like, okay, I thought we had one God, not 3. To me, that was polytheism. To me, that was unimaginable, so I just rejected that notion up front. But then, once I started getting to high school, I started becoming a little bit more concerned with what was really going on in the world. I started getting into politics, and then I started really exploring my religion. Now, I rejected the notion of being a Protestant up front. The problem was there was no specific Christian sect I agreed with.
During high school, I could see him drifting away from his connection with the church that we were going to, and I knew that there was some lack of direction and lack of connection in his faith during those years in high school. He never rejected God, rejected faith, but I could see that there wasn't that strong connection he had when he was younger.
I'd been exposed to other religions at the time through my mom. Since we had gone through a divorce that was quite traumatizing, she had been forced to look for alternative spiritual means. So by the time I just realized, okay, I really need to find my niche to get into, my mom recommended that I take this test online that would recommend which religion you belong to, or you most closely match up to. So I took it, and I was quite surprised to find that Islam was number 2 on the list, about 98% compatibility. Number 1 was Orthodox Judaism. Now, although I did have interest in Judaism at the time, I really didn't see it as that interesting as Islam. To me, Islam was something like, to stereotypically say, foreign to me. I'm like, oh, that looks quite interesting. So I started looking into Islam. So I looked it up on Wikipedia. I started reading about the basic articles of faith, the restrictions, what you had to do and stuff, and I found myself in agreement. I was like, this makes a lot of sense. I agree with this, and this seems very, very plausible. I believe that Jesus, rather than being a son of God or even God, was just a teacher, an important teacher to take from. So the notion of Jesus being a prophet, which basically is a teacher of God, really wasn't that foreign to me. That was something that, like, I already had believed in. At that point, I decided to pick up a Quran. So I picked it up and started reading it. And I read it, I'm like, this is amazing. This is something that explains everything that I've been looking for. I'm in total agreement with this. So I want to become a Muslim now.
One day we took him to the doctor and for his yearly checkup, and before he went off to college, and he had his Quran with him, and she was asking him about that, and she asked him why he was reading that, and he said, because I'm going to convert to Islam. And that was the first time he clearly expressed himself that that was his intention.
So I decided to take Shahada when I'd gotten up here to school. See, I didn't know of a single masjid in Dallas. Plus, it was just more convenient to take it up here. There was a mosque right by the school. So therefore, I could just walk down in my spare time and take Shahada. So I told my parents when I decided to, and they didn't have a problem with it. They were in the medical field, and therefore they had exposure to Islam, they had exposure to other ethnicities and religions as well. So they were quite tolerant people.
I have the opportunity at work to be around many Islamic people that I'm very fond of and that are just outstanding, excellent people. And I was hopeful, of course, that those are the same type of people that he's going to be surrounded with, but with everything that goes on, you don't know. And so I was very concerned about my young, naive son and exactly what kind of experiences this was going to lead him into.
The prospect of me becoming engrossed in religion, they liked that idea just because they thought it helped me to become more loving and more compassionate to people. At the time, I was kind of a misanthrope before, so they were more than eager to see me take up a religion.
It is intriguing to a lot of people. They want to ask him about it, and he enjoys the chance then to talk about it. He's usually very quiet and shy, and this gives him a platform to express himself to other people about him, whereas if he hadn't made this decision, and people probably wouldn't be asking him so many questions about it.
In here at the Islamic Center in Boulder, which is very little, it is the place for everybody to come pray. So new converts, or I would say new people that embrace the religion of Islam, when they come over here, they find several programs. They find a lot of young people, they find a lot of people who are willing to dedicate their time and help them and study with them, answer their questions. So like the young William, the student here at the University of Colorado in Boulder, he studied Islam and he decided that Islam made sense to him.
I first learned the Arabic script from a friend of mine at the masjid. He used to be a teacher, so somehow he was able to teach me it in an hour, whilst I couldn't teach myself over the summer. So I was able to master it by reading du'as in a particular book by Hisun al-Muslim. And by doing those multiple times a day, I was able to get reading speed similar to that of English.
وقد استخدم ويليام أيضا أحدث التكنولوجيا لمساعدته على تعلم اللغة العربية بسرعة أكبر.
Now I was able to master the tashweed through an iPhone app that has both the text and the tashweed. And by listening to it over and over, I can get the rhythm and the pronunciation down. I have to say the main thing that changed about me when I converted to Islam would be that I enjoy helping people a lot more. I care about people much deeper than I did before. Before, I tended to be somewhat of a misanthrope. And I'm not saying I was like a people hater, but I tended not to trust people. I tended to be more introverted. I was more selfish as well. So since I converted to Islam, I've just learned to love people. I've learned to care for them and help them. And I get pleasure out of helping them as well. So for all I think it was probably the best change that ever